Thank you for joining me to remember my grandmother, Cuc Vo. Her last years of her life was a journey through the stages of dementia. It's sometimes described as an illness worse than cancer, as there is currently no hope for a cure. Dementia slowly takes away from your memories. It slowly takes away the ability to speak, the ability to walk, and the ability to remember. It was hard to visit home and see my grandmother who couldn't remember who I was. I can't imagine what it felt like for my dad and my aunt to feed, bathe, and dress their own mom. Compared to many though, my grandmother was lucky to live a long life filled with laughter, love, and family up until her final days. To know my grandmother begins with learning about her story, of how she immigrated from Vietnam and ended up in Lafayette, Louisiana. My dad, Tony Liu, whom is my grandmother's oldest son, is here to help us remember her life.
My mom, Cuc Vo, was born in 1936 in South Vietnam. She had 2 brothers and 3 sisters. She had a simple life in the countryside. My mom got married when she was 25 with my dad. Together they have 4 children, live a comfortable life. My mom kind of strict when we growing up. She mostly staying home mom. She always cook us a good meal and make sure we all taken care of.
In the year of 1955 to 1975, the Vietnam War took place. The communists took away my grandparents' successful business they had built in selling mechanical parts and machinery. Soldiers were regularly sent to monitor them, and many civilians alike. My grandfather, who was originally from China, became fearful of what would happen to Vietnam as it did to China. My grandparents' family was lucky enough to pay their way out by selling the remainder of their possessions for gold and bribing the same government that took away their business to let them be smuggled onto boats to escape to the nearby refugee country of Malaysia.
After my brother and I left first, the family sold their possession and followed the kid to get away from the communists. Riding in the boat, very tough. It took 7 days to floating on the ocean and not being sure you can get to your destination. We had very little food and very little water.
The number of boat people leaving Vietnam totaled almost 800,000 between 1975 and 1995. Many refugees failed to survive the passage. Amazingly, my grandparents and their children made it to a refugee camp in Malaysia. To not be turned away, many of these boats had to crash themselves ashore, and then passengers had to get out and swim. After spending a few months in the Malaysian refugee camp, my family was eventually sponsored by the Catholic Church of Louisiana and ended up in its state capital, Baton Rouge. Life took my grandfather to Montreal, Canada, and he and my grandmother had to part ways. My grandmother was a single mom to her 4 children in a country that was foreign to her. She also didn't speak the language.
When we moved to Louisiana, we ended up in New Orleans and then Baton Rouge. We were sponsored by the Catholic Church, New Orleans. Eventually, we moved to Lafayette, start a family-owned business. Working with my mom and siblings, we had a great time. Mom kept everybody in line.
In the beginning of their life in Louisiana, my family struggled. My dad learned from his years working restaurant jobs and eventually started his Chinese restaurant business where most of the family members worked together, including my grandmother. My earliest memories of my grandmother began when I was 6 or 7 and my mom, dad, aunt, and grandma lived under one roof in a small house in Lafayette, Louisiana. Space was cramped, and I remember sleeping on a mattress on the floor in my parents' bedroom. Eventually, I remember moving to a new house once my dad's first Chinese restaurant started to take off. On weekends, my cousins, siblings, and I would be babysat at my grandmother's house while our parents were at work. Some of my fondest memories include eating my grandmother's Vietnamese cooking, playing video games with my siblings and cousins, and watching Paris by Night videos alongside with my grandmother. Whenever there was a special occasion like the 4th of July or New Year's, we'd gather at my grandmother's house and set off fireworks in the front yard. As we got older, my dad opened a new restaurant and work got busier. My grandmother, my siblings, cousins, and myself helped out at my dad's restaurant called the Royal Panda. I'd work there every weekend alongside my family, from the mornings to evenings, sharing meals, holidays, and parties together. In the evenings, as work was dying down, my grandmother would come and sit near the cash register where I'd work and snack on fried chicken wings or a spring roll. She'd tell me stories of how our family left Vietnam and ask me if I was doing well in school. Sometimes, when we were both exhausted and had nothing to say, I'd pat her on the back and say, "Ama, good job." She'd respond with a smile and pat me on the shoulders and say, "Luan, good job." Then she might go to my brother and pat him on the back and say, "Dee, no good job." Of course, it was her way of lightening the mood and making a joke. My grandma helped at the family restaurant until her 70s and worked a hard life in the hot, humid kitchen, chopping vegetables and operating the deep fryer. She eventually retired in her 70s. Every year in her retirement, we would throw an annual birthday party in January to celebrate her birthday. She would often shed tears of joy when her birthday cake came out. I'm sure she was happy to know everyone traveled back to the small city of Lafayette, Louisiana to see her.
She started retirement in 2014 when she developed the dementias, and then she had the knee replacement. She lived with my sister, Nancy, and then my brother, Adin, sometimes comes out to take her to the Dallas to have fun and get out of the house. The symptoms were mild beginning. As time progressed, her mental state got worse, especially during the COVID. Now she's in the final state. She can't move much, and her voice getting weaker now.
As her condition got worse, her voice became slurred. Parts of her body became weaker to the point of being immobile. She needed assistance to put on clothes, eat food, and bathe. Dementia is not only a tough illness for the patient, but also a tough illness for the people who are tasked to take care of their loved ones. On a visit to see Grandma in her final days, the attending nurse gave us some kind words to console us.
She can't tell you that, or she can't remember the conversation. And there are days she probably doesn't even know who you are.
I know,
But she knows she's loved.
She had fortune to have you be the helper.
But you still talk to her. You still tell the stories of how you got in trouble as a kid, or what you got, or what you two got away with that she might not have known about, or you didn't think she would, because she probably knew, because she's a mom and moms know everything.
Talk to her.
But talk to her and tell the fun stories and reminisce. You know, that's important. So, and it's not only important for her, but it's important for y'all too. You know, that it's sad when somebody passes, but we know that she's had a wonderful life, and, you know, she raised amazing kids, and, you know, she gave you all of her knowledge. You know, she gave it to the two of you.
Tỏ tè còn mẹ đánh đu đặt găng nhảy dù xe tăng bắn súng nhảy qua con ma nào đây làm tao mất còn thằng lằn cục đuôi cục đuôi cục đuôi
Eventually, my grandmother passed away on Friday, December 30th, 2022.
Here's to the ones that we got. Cheers to the wish you were here, but you're not. 'Cause the drinks bring back all the memories of everything we've been through. Toast to the ones here today. Toast to the ones that we lost on the way. 'Cause the drinks bring back all the memories, and the memories bring back you. There's a time that I remember when I did not know no pain, when I believed in forever, that everything would stay the same. Now my heart feels like December when somebody say your name. 'Cause I can't reach out to call you, but I know I will one day, yeah. Everybody hurts sometimes, everybody hurts someday, hey, hey. But everything gon' be alright. Go on, raise your glass and say, hey. Here's to the ones that we got. Cheers to the wish you were here, but you're not. 'Cause the drinks bring back all the memories of everything we've been through. Toast to the ones here today. Toast to the ones that we lost on the way. 'Cause the drinks bring back all the memories, and the memories bring back you. Do 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 do. Memories bring back you. There's a time that I remember when I never felt so lost, when I felt all of the hatred was too powerful to stop. Now my heart feels like an ember, and it's lighting up the dark. I'll carry these torches for you that you know I'll never drop, yeah. Everybody hurts sometimes, everybody hurts someday, hey, hey. But everything gon' be alright. Go on, raise your glass and say, here's to the ones that we got. Cheers to the wish you were here, but you're not. 'Cause the drinks bring back all the memories of everything we've been through. Toast to the ones here today. Toast to the ones that we lost on the way. 'Cause the drinks bring back all the memories, and the memories bring back you. Do 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 do. Memories bring back you. Memories bring back you. Yeah, 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 yeah.